Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
This one is a short and sharp episode of Cut the Clutter. And short and sharp, not just because we're talking about the Congress party and because Congress party only has so few MPs and so few states under it and might be on course to losing another state, we don't know. Not because of that, but short, sharp, because things are moving very fast with the Congress party. So we are shooting at a moving target. So I am looking at what we are completely clear about right now. And what we are completely clear about right now is that this Congress party is also now facing the prospect of a split. A split which is ideological, which is personalized, which is built on loyalty, on many factors. But in terms of the dimensions and impact of the Congress party, this might have the same kind of impact as the earlier big split or the original big split in 1969, which took place under Mrs. Indira Gandhi, that is Rahul Gandhi's grandmother. Now, this is a very interesting comparison because at that point, there were many factors that are common to the factors now. So Indira Gandhi split the party in 1969. She came up trumps at the end of it. Rahul Gandhi effectively splitting the party now. Why do we say so? Because we know today that Amrinder Singh has left the party. He's been there a long time. He's a powerful chief minister, a respected old leader of the party. We know that Kapil Sibbal's house has been vandalized. His car has been broken. Slogans have been shouted. We know that many other senior Congress leaders have come out in his support or to express regrets, including P. Chidambaram, who is not a member of the so-called Group of 23. The Group of 23 already is disillusioned and is looking around, and you can see that the Gandhis, particularly Rahul, is not making any great effort to reach out to them and to bring them back in. So once again, there is an effort to bring about a generational shift or a generational break in the Congress party, as Mrs. Gandhi did in 1969. So we will just briefly look at the similarities between 1969 and now, but also more importantly, the difference between 1969 and now. We cannot hazard a guess in terms of what will happen because that will depend on having set this process in motion, where can Rahul take it? That is something that we cannot speculate about and we should not speculate about. But I will give you the comparisons, the parallels, the similarities and also differences, and you decide then which ones look more important. So similarities. Now, Indira Gandhi made a left turn in 1969 as she tried to leave behind the older generation of her party. So her ideological turn was to the left. And that was to tell the people of India that these are old people, they are conservative, they are pro-capitalist, there is so much poverty, you need a more socialist way of governance. So she made a clear ideological shift that was a signal to India's voters, particularly India's poorest voters. That is what Rahul Gandhi has also done. If you see all his utterances on the economy for quite some time now, he talks a lot more of the left language now than any Congress leader has done in the recent past. In the recent past, I mean, since Mrs. Gandhi's first innings. We haven't quite seen it. Since Mrs. Gandhi's first innings as in Mrs. Gandhi's post-1971 innings. I'm not counting the 1966-1971 period. Also, Mrs. Gandhi sought allies in the CPI, Communist Party of India. And CPI remained her long-term ally to the extent that it backed her during the emergency. She also got some people in from the CPI. In 1969 or 67 was it, she got Mohan Kumaram Mangalam, who was in the CPI. He joined the Congress party, later became a minister. It so happened that subsequently his son joined the BJP. But Mohan Kumaram Mangalam defected or moved or migrated from the CPI to the Congress party. Her entire inner circle was run by left intellectuals or bureaucrats of very strong leftist inclination. Similarly, now we've seen with Rahul Gandhi, he's just admitted Kanhaiya Kumar from the CPI into his party. Formally, he's a CPI member. Also, Jignesh Mevani, who hasn't yet joined the Congress because he's an independent MLA in Gujarat, but is pretty much, for all practical purposes, joined the Congress, is also a leader of left persuasion. So, just as she made a left turn, he's also making a left turn without a doubt. She led a revolt against the old generation. And she said, these are older people from my father's times. They don't understand anything. India has changed. India needs change. That change has to be socialist, right? So she painted the older guys as, first of all, old. And so much so that when the Congress split between Congress R and Congress O, Congress R was Congress requisition. Congress O was Congress organization. Now, requisition because the Congress establishment, that is the Congress party president at that time, S. Nijlingappa and others, the establishment of the Congress decided to field Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy as their presidential candidate, as Congress party's presidential candidate. Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy was a rival of Mrs. Gandhi. He didn't like Mrs. Gandhi. So Mrs. Gandhi didn't like the idea that he should be made the candidate. In fact, just to give you a historical reference, Mrs. Gandhi became the president of Congress party in 1959 for a short while, and she was succeeded by Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy. Nevertheless, so she said, these are older people, and that spread so quickly that Congress O soon came to be known as Congress Old. So Congress organization became Congress Old. It became a generational fight. That is what Rahul is now trying to do. He has not been paying much attention to any of the seniors. People from, forget his father's times, but even from his mother's time. So people like Ahmed Patel, who's no more now, but people like that, people like A.K. Antony, Digvijay Singh, all those people, now Chidambaram, this group of 23, they are all getting together, Amrinder Singh, because they think that Rahul has no time for them. So this is very similar to the kind of generational split that took place in 1969. That is the other similarity. Third, just before the 1969 split, Mrs. Gandhi had lost several states. In the 1967 elections, many of India's states were lost by the Congress party, and they had gone to, most of them had gone to Sanyukt Vidhayak Dal, which was a kind of sort of motley collection of people opposed to the Congress. Many of them former congressmen, like say Charan Singh, Chaudhry Charan Singh, for example, and many others. They had formed this party which won power in many states. So she wasn't seen as a vote catcher at that point. She was seen as a loser. And because she was seen as a loser, that is why the older Congress establishment thought that they could now put her in her place, and she struck back. Rahul Gandhi also has suffered bigger setbacks now in 2014 and 2019 national elections, including losing his own election in Amethi. So he's also coming from the same place. He has his back to the wall. He is, to that extent, an underdog. Then Mrs. Gandhi at that point was willing to make any sacrifice to consolidate her power at the center. That whatever happens, I want power in the center. So among the many things she did, she more or less conceded Tamil Nadu fully to DMK. Right? She did not even contest in the assembly election. So it was conceded to DMK. As a result, when parliamentary elections were held, she became a partner of the DMK. She was given 10 seats, of which Congress party won. Her Congress party won 9. So she was ensuring that she will have the numbers in Delhi and she will remain in power. She was willing to trade off a state. In his own way now, you can see that Rahul Gandhi is doing some of that. Although he's sacrificing his state, not necessarily to a party that might be his likely ally. That is what's happening in Punjab right now. So these are some of the similarities. I'll say, oh, so it's okay. Rahul Gandhi thinks that, 52 years later, 52 years hence, he can repeat his grandmother's magic. And then we run into problems. And here are the contradictions and here are the difference between this situation and that. First is a no-brainer. Immediately, she was in power. She was the prime minister. Rahul Gandhi is not in power. So even when her party split, she had a lot of MPs in parliament. Rahul Gandhi doesn't. Even when the party split, why was her party called Congress R? We told you why Congress O was called Congress O, organization which willy-nilly or serendipitously came to be known as Congress old Buddo ki party hai, right? She actually said that we don't accept the party's choice of Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy as presidential candidate. So we should requisition a special session of All India Congress Committee that will hold a vote on this. The party organization did not allow that vote, and the party organization was then run by something called the syndicate, or somebody sort of nicknamed the syndicate, people who got together, like the G23 you might say, with many differences, who got together and decided. This G23 just talks, it doesn't decide anything. That syndicate decided. So she said that requisition in AICC, and let us see if this decision of fielding Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy as your candidate has the party's support or not. The syndicate or the organization refused that request. That's how the party split, and her faction was named Congress R, or Congress Requisitionists. And she then gave a call to her MPs to vote on the basis of conscience, that you are not bound to follow the whip. Conscience vote dijiye. Antaratma ki आवाज पर vote dijiye. By that time, anti-defection law, etc. also were not there. So she won that election. She fielded VV Giri. She won that election. The moment she won that, and she was already the Prime Minister, she was immediately seen as the winner, and Mrs. Gandhi, the Titanic leader, had now arrived. So she had split her party and risked losing power to build herself into this great titan of Indian politics. But as I told you, the difference is she had power already and she had so many MPs. Rahul Gandhi doesn't have power. He hasn't had power now for some time. That's more than 7 years. And he also has just 50 odd MPs and very few states. So he's got very little to bat with. He's got very little total to defend in cricketing terms, unlike his grandmother. Second difference, in her time, there were two clear factions in the Congress party, O and R as they were named. But one was the organizations, older people who had been in party for a long time. The others were younger people of the left, and others of the left who gravitated towards him from the party, younger people. Chandrasekhar, for example. Chandrasekhar was a young man then, so young that in mid-70s when he rebelled against her, he was called a young Turk. They were not there as her loyalists. They were there for ideological reasons. Might be that is why Kanhaiya and Jignesh Mevani are coming close to Rahul Gandhi now. So she used that ideology, but the left-right split was much sharper then. In this Congress party, or what is left of the Congress party, that left-right shift is not sharp at all, because I don't know who is one of the right, or even of the economic right in the Congress party. Maybe someone like Shashi Tharoor, and I do hope he doesn't suffer for my having paid this compliment to him. But there are very few who would talk any language of the kind that some of the people who were pro-business, etc. in the Congress at that time might have spoken, compared to Mrs. Gandhi. Then the biggest difference, after the fact that one had power, one doesn't have power. Indira had power, Rahul doesn't have power. The other big thing, Mrs. Gandhi proved quickly enough that she was a vote getter, right? 67, she had not been able to get a lot of votes. She got a majority, not a good majority, but got a majority, but lost many states. But soon enough, she was able to prove that she has the votes and she can get the vote. She's the party's #1 vote getter. Between Sonia and Rahul, but particularly Rahul, there is no example of the leader being able to get votes for the Congress party. So that is a big gap. And if you want to run a dynasty-controlled, one leader, centralized party, then you have to have a leader who promises the votes. That is not something, that is not a box that Rahul Gandhi has checked on his CV as yet. Then, the world at that time in 1969 was divided on left and right basis. So if you got the CPI in, you got the Soviets backing you. You got the Soviets ensuring that CPI were with you, the communists with you. Your government took a left turn. So the Soviet bloc then became even more your ally. You became less non-aligned in the process. 1971, of course, she signed that Treaty of Peace, Friendship and Cooperation with the Soviet Union, which pretty much made India a Soviet ally, right? Today, the world is not divided on those lines. You might say world is divided between China and America, or a Chinese bloc and an American bloc, but would you call the Chinese bloc the left bloc? I don't think so. I think even the most die-hard China supporters will not call it a communist state, except to the extent that it's a dictatorship. But otherwise, it does not have any communist characteristics. So today there is no ideological divide in the world towards one of which you can lean, unlike in Indira Gandhi's times. Then I told you that she drew a lot of younger people on an ideological basis, not on loyalty basis. So people like Chandrasekhar, Chandrajit Yadav, there were many others who were essentially people of the left. Mohan Kumar Mangalam was officially a man of the left. He came from CPI. Nurul Hasan became our education minister. In fact, he gave the strongest push to India's education system to the left, particularly the teaching of history, etc., etc. He was known fully to be a CPI person, right? So he also came from a CPI environment into the Congress party. So she drew people towards her on ideological basis. In Rahul's case right now, so far it's all about loyalty. And once again, unlike Mrs. Gandhi, who's able to keep her loyalists with her for a very long time, Rahul Gandhi has not yet shown that ability. Many people have come close to him and left. So people who were close to him are very insecure, unlike the true loyalists or close loyalists of Mrs. Gandhi. And the final difference between the two is that Mrs. Gandhi, Indira Gandhi, had clarity of vision, which Rahul Gandhi has not yet displayed. Rahul Gandhi has displayed a lot of idealism, but not a clarity of vision. Mrs. Gandhi, on the other hand, was very clear on the economy. She was very clear on nationalism. She was very clear on strategic issues. She was very clear on where to align in the world in terms of her foreign policy. She was also very clear in terms of how she would deal with this secular communal question or the Hindu-Muslim question. That's why she was always upfront about her Hindu identity and never said or did anything to give anybody a cause of making it a Hindus versus others kind of politics. She prevented that polarization, and that is why she never called the Jansangh, which was the parent of BJP, she never called the Jansangh a Hindu party. She said her logic was Hindus are the majority in this country. If I call Jansangh a Hindu party, then how can I win elections? So she always called the Jansangh a Baniya party. In fact, if she was around today, she would be constantly mocking and trolling the BJP today by saying, Dekha, your Traders Association and others, they are attacking Amazon and everybody else. Why? Because you are a Baniya party. So she always called it a Baniya party. Whereas Rahul and his people in his times, they've got really confused because they speak for strong secularism, they speak against hard Hindutva. At the same time, they are not able to establish a clear vision on foreign affairs, strategic issues, economic issues, and religious issues. That's why they are not able to reverse this Hindu-Muslim polarization. So you now do a matrix analysis. You can put the likenesses, similarities and differences, likenesses on one side, similarities on the other, and draw a line at the bottom and see what the prospects are going ahead.